Premier League clubs spent £1.4 billion in the summer transfer window last year. It was only just short of the record set 2 years earlier. The situation will be very different this summer. The coronavirus pandemic has had a massive financial impact on clubs right across the world. Costs have had to be cut, even at the world's richest clubs like Manchester United and Real Madrid. The Real Madrid president, Perez, said they're in a bad situation. Players have had to take pay cuts. We've also seen that at Arsenal as well. So how can clubs balance out spending heavily on transfer fees and salaries when, in some cases, even lower paid staff are having to take pay cuts? There's been a huge loss of revenue caused by fans not being allowed into stadiums. So although the Premier League, La Liga and other major leagues did resume in June, that helped to fulfill the broadcast contracts. The stadiums, though, have been completely empty. It's cost some clubs millions of pounds with no fans coming through the door and buying food and drink as well. And there's also been some rebates to broadcasters because of the disruption to the season. Manchester United think it will cost them £20 million in rebates alone. So that is something factored into the budget as well. The British government has talked about fans returning to stadiums in the autumn from October, but we're not going to see full stadiums, maybe only 50% capacity. So even then, teams can't factor in getting that match day revenue back next year. And also, there is the deeper concern about a potential second wave, another spike in coronavirus cases, potentially later this year as winter flu season hits as well. So will the Premier League have to be shut down again? Will other leagues across Europe also be paused? So you factor in all that uncertainty and you think, when you're making signings this summer, yes, you might need to strengthen the squad as you're chasing trophies, chasing European qualification, but these teams can't be putting the financial viability of their clubs at risk if they're starting to make these big outlays on players when down the line, we just don't know what's happening, particularly as the world enters a global recession. That's certainly been the concerns voiced from the World Bank. So that will even have an impact on sponsors as well. You're also relying on them to help fund the club. So as we go forward, we enter this period of great uncertainty and clubs have to try to navigate the transfer market. Obviously, some of the wealthier clubs will still have that strength in the market. Can they resist even now losing their players because actually their rivals no longer perhaps have that financial power that they did in the past? Also, it's the last transfer window before Britain officially finally cuts all ties with the European Union. They did trigger Brexit finally in January, but the transition period ends on December the 31st. That means it's the last August summer transfer window when Premier League clubs can freely sign players from across Europe without them having to be subject to work permit restrictions. That's what we're going to see from next year. Every overseas player coming into the Premier League will have to meet those visa requirements. Not though this summer from players from within the European Union. Also, it could be the last chance to sign 16 and 17-year-old players from Europe before the threshold is raised, just like for the rest of the world. That means Premier League clubs can only sign players over the age of 18. So this summer transfer window, you've got the multiple factors to think about. You've got the impact of the coronavirus pandemic, both financially and in terms of health. And what does Britain and Brexit finally mean? What does leaving the European Union mean for clubs as they prepare their summer transfer plans?